So I had no projects on my blocking board. I had 2 last week, so yeah, you kind of knew that that was gonna be the case. So let's talk. Oh, Tika, what? I have a visitor down here. Oh, she's gonna walk away. There we go. That's my Tika. Too bad you just missed her. I could have given you a nice little shot of her. Well, hello and welcome to episode number 26 of Michelle's Fiber Studio podcast. My name is Michelle and I am your host. Today is Sunday, October 13th. It is a cloudy day. It's about mid-50s, so yeah, definitely we're heading in that winter direction. I've got my warm woolies on today that I was wearing to kind of guard against that cool crisp air when we headed out to church this morning. So I have updates on several different projects. I have some new yarn that I'm going to talk about. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. But before we dive in, let's talk about what I am wearing. I am wearing my Teroldego. This is the shawl that I finished last spring, last May. I had worked on this all last winter, well, late winter, early spring, or through the spring. The yarn is 2 different yarns, well, 3 yarns, but 2 of them are Malabrigo sock in Abril, which is the purple, and Light of Love, which is the bright pink. And then the lighter pink that's in here is On the Round Nimble sock in Himalayan Salt. This is yarn that I picked up from my local yarn shop back in February, and I immediately cast on. They had this sample done up in the store, not in these colors, but they had this sample done up in the store, and I actually saw the bright pink and decided that I wanted to build a shawl around the bright pink. And then I just kind of started like just placing the colors together, just kind of fell into place. So it was super fun. So I'm going from a very fresh finished object to a very old finished object. Marta is wearing a shawl that I knit back in January of 2012. Yeah, this is one of my older knits. It is simply a garter shawl. It was a kit that I bought at the time that was my local yarn store, which was like right around the corner from my house. Super fun. Very dangerous. And I got this kit. I don't even know exactly what the manufacturer was. I have the notes in my Ravelry project page and I can't quite parse it out, but and anyway, it was 12 different mini skeins that came in this kit. They were about 65 yards a piece. They're all DK weight yarns and all kinds of different yarns. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a lot of texture that is going on in this. There's a little bit of sparkle. This one has some sparkle. It's looking a little dull. I wonder if it's a bit dusty. Probably could use a good wash, honestly. But all I did, it's a simple garter triangle shawl where you increase, I think on either end or on one end every row, or both ends every other row, something like that. I don't even remember now. The pattern probably came in with the kit. And I literally would knit a yarn until I ran out, and then I would drop it and I would start the new one, and then of course weave in the ends when I was done. So I literally had no yarn. As a matter of fact, when I was binding off, I was about 10 stitches shy. I ran out of yarn, 10 stitches shy, and at that point, I must have had, I don't even know, 150 stitches. It's a pretty, I know you can't see my full wingspan or arm span. It's a pretty big shawl, and I ended up backing up the bind off, not quite to the beginning, but 3/4 of the way back, and rebinding off just a little bit tighter the whole way, just to see if I could squeak out. And I think I had like this much yarn at the end. So I literally used up all the yarn. So it's fun. It's fall colors. It's one that I wear in the fall. I actually kind of had forgotten about it. I have so many shawls in my closet now, it got buried. So I was paging through my project pages when I came across that one, and I'm like, yeah, that's the shawl that I should I should have on Marta, and I need to pull it out and wear it. Maybe I'll wear it to school this week. So that is what I am wearing, what Marta is wearing. So let's go ahead and move on to the next segment. In my project bag, I have a couple projects I want to talk about. I have my Stephen West mystery knit along, so I will do that one last. I will talk about my other projects and I'll do that one last and then give you a spoiler alert warning. So let's start with my socks. These are the, what am I calling these? My retro socks, and I worked on them. I did work on them. Very little. I've got what, 2 rows there? Yeah, it was a crazy week. I did not have a lot of knitting time at school. As I recall, a couple of the days I ended up having to be outside doing early morning duty. I ended up just getting pulled into things, and that's sad. That's all the knitting I got done. And I actually think, was it this week that I took my niece out for her birthday? Or was that last week? Because I know I worked in them when I took my niece out. I think it was this week. Yeah, that was probably the knitting that I did while I was with her. So, yeah, these will continue to plug away. The yarn, though, let's talk about the yarn. It is one of my hypnotic yarns. Look how fun, all these colors. It is the Neon Graffiti is the colorway name. And it is my second sock, so we're getting there. So, Neon, is that upside down? No, okay, good. Yeah, Neon Graffiti. And I am working on 2 circular needles. And I do 56 stitches, obviously cuff down. When I get to the heel, I do the OMG heel, 1 row mock gusset heel by Megan Williams. That's my heel of choice. And yeah, I'm probably, well, let's see, my measuring system. So I use, oh, well, you can't see, huh? So I like to rest the base of my palm at the top of the ribbing and then measure. And when I hit the tip of my middle finger, the top of that, then I know I'm ready for my foot, or my heel rather. So I'm about what, halfway? I will actually measure, I'll do this, but then when I'm thinking I'm getting close, I will actually pull out the first sock and I'll lay one on top of the other to make sure that it's as close as I can get. If it's off a row or 2, I really don't worry about it. It's just socks, but that's my fancy measuring system is my hand. So hopefully I can get a little bit more done on these this week, because this week I didn't have a whole lot to show. Okay, the second project that I'm going to talk about is my new Musselburgh. I have a little baby Musselburgh hat. There we go. It's hard to tell because it's all scrunchy here on the needles, but I did just finish all of the increases. So that means I'm ready to just go round and round and round. This will actually become my project of choice that I'm getting ready. It's in my bag that I bring to school that I carry around with me. This is another one of my Yarnables yarn. This one is Frosty Fox. Ooh, that's hard to say. Frosty Fox. And this Musselburgh is going to be for my daughter for Christmas. So I'm liking the colors. I'm really, really liking how it's starting out. Here, let me pull the whole skein. I decided not to worry about putting it into a cozy because the bag is basically like a cozy. I don't know if it's picking up some of the color variations that are in there, but it's got these fun lights and darks. Maybe can you see it a little bit? There we go. Yeah, I think you can see that in the knitting. So this will be nice. It's nice and soft. I think my daughter's really gonna like it. And I'm gonna knit it exactly like the one that I just finished for myself, which I still need to block, by the way. I'll probably do that tomorrow. But yeah, so I cast this on yesterday, brought it with me. We had a family event and I was working on that and got through just about all of the increases, and then I did the last couple, or last one actually, when I got home last night. So it is ready. I can bring it to school and work away on that because it is a Christmas gift. So before I dive into my last project, which is my WestKnits MKAL, I will tell you that I didn't even touch my fall shawl there. Oh, what's the name of it? Dress It Up. The Dress It Up shawl, which I'm doing in those fall colors. When I had some knitting time, I had an up and down week as far as busyness and such. And when it was quiet, I didn't always have the brain power to knit. But when I did have the brain power to knit, then I was pulling out my Stephen West shawls from my WestKnits MKAL. So that is what I'm going to talk about next. So this is your spoiler alert warning. I am not quite through Clue 1. So I know Clue 2 was released on Thursday. I haven't started it. If you finished Clue 1, then you're safe to pay attention. If you have not yet finished Clue 1 and you don't want to be spoiled, then this is your warning. You can skip ahead to the next segment. I've got those markers right on the bottom. So let me pull it out. I am probably about 2/3 of the way through Clue 1. I'm actually kind of hoping that by the end of the night tonight, I can have Clue 1 complete. But here it is. I know it doesn't look like much because again, it's all scrunched up on the needles. Look how fun those colors are playing together though. It's a nice little garter stitch section. So it is comprised of these semicircles. If you recall last week, I showed you one of the semicircles. So there's one. So you got 3 semicircles, and then you join the semicircles with triangles of garter in between. So there's a semicircle here, and there's a semicircle here, and then a garter triangle in between. So you get those garter triangles, one in between each of the semicircles, and then one at the beginning and end. So you kind of have like these segments. So I kind of mentally was thinking of this pattern as broken into like 3 parts, or Clue 1 is being broken into 3 parts. You had the 3 semicircles, and then you had the triangles, the 5 triangles that you had to knit. And now the last segment is a bubbles, I think it's called. And everything is all joined in together now. It's like 350 stitches, and it's 12 rows. So again, I'm hoping that I can get it done today, so that way tomorrow, I have tomorrow off for the holiday, that I can really kind of dive into Clue 2 and see how far into Clue 2 I can get while I'm not working. So let's talk about the yarn. My yarn is from Homespun Girls, and I have 2 different colors. Tangled on itself here. Let me untangle. There we go. So this one here is the first color that I bought, and it is Main Tidal Pool. There we go. And then the yellow here is, no, not this one, Kelp. There we go. So I contacted them, and she was nice enough to dye me a couple of skeins to coordinate. I also have, which I'm very excited because in Clue 2, I get to use my mohair for the Mohair Dare. And my mohair is their Mohair Silk Supreme, and the colorway is Mermaid. So I'm really excited to see where that fits into this shawl for this part. But again, I am really, really, really happy with the way these 2 colors are playing off of each other. The kelp picks up, there's a little bit of yellows. I don't know if this particular segment is showing it, but in the green, the Main Tidal Pool, there's a little bit of yellow, and the kelp is playing off of that really, really nicely. So, excuse me. That is where I am at with the projects that are in my project bag. So with that, let's move on to the next section. have no specific project dreams. I sort of have a new addition to my yarn shelf, but I'm actually gonna wrap it into this Yarny Chat section because I thought for today's Yarny Chat, I would just talk about mystery knitting. So I got my Steve & West knit along, which I'm not gonna pull that out, but I have that as a mystery pattern. And then I also have another mystery type of a kit that I'm gonna talk about. So mystery knitting can kind of come in a couple of different forms. So you've got patterns where the pattern is released, one part of the pattern called a clue. Usually it's once a week, sometimes depending on the pattern. I actually did a gnome last Christmas and it was every day. Well, there was something new every day. I think there was a new part of the pattern like every other day or every third day, something like that. So it just really depends on the pattern and the project and the designer. Typically though, it is once a week. And so the mystery comes from not knowing what is coming. The designer usually does a really great job of telling you what kinds of yarns that you need to choose, what values you need to have in those yarns, maybe how to determine which one is going to be the main color, what's going to be a contrast color, what order your contrast colors. Like they'll give you a little guidance in that. You can also tell, because a lot of times these days especially, designers are working in conjunction with yarn dyers to have kits. So if you don't want to buy a kit from one of the dyers, then at least looking at the kits and those yarns and the composition of those yarns as far as colors and tones and values can help you kind of make some decisions around what you're going to choose for your yarn. If you want to use something that you already have in your stash, or if you want to go shopping locally, or a combination. Kind of like what I did with my Steve & West knit along. I had something in my stash and I added to it by actually contacting the dyer to see if they could dye me a couple of extra skeins. So it's kind of fun. If you are unsure if you want to dive into a mystery knit, it is kind of an investment in a way because you don't know exactly what you're getting. But if you take a look at the other designs that the designer has made, that gives you a good indication. If you generally speaking like their designs, then you're probably gonna like their mystery knit. That's kind of a good rule of thumb there. In the case of my Steve & West, I think I talked about this last week, he is known for being kind of wild and crazy, but he's also known for very unique construction, lots of texture, lots of just a really interesting composition. So I decided to do the Steve & West mystery knit along kind of on that premise alone, just so that I could experience the construction aspects of putting that shawl together. I love my yarn, so I'm pretty confident that I'll be happy with it because I like the yarn, and so far I'm enjoying the process of putting the yarn together. So that's kind of that. The other kind of mystery knitting is more kit-based. So in this case, I am going to be doing the Woolen Woman Fibers Murder She Knit Blanket Mystery. And this kind of has a similar vibe as to like an advent calendar like you would get at Christmas time. Because in this case, I know what my pattern is because I'm going to be doing the pattern that came in the kit, but I don't know the yarn. So that's kind of where the mystery comes along. So let me show you the kit. I got it just this week. It officially starts October 25th. So I got my box here, and then I have all my little packages here of yarns. I believe that this is the first time that they actually package them individually, because I know Boston Jen did it last year, and I saw her reveal videos where she pulled up a whole bundle of fibers. So I think it's actually fun this way. I was probably gonna start it, and then I opened the box and I saw that they were all individually packaged. And I'm like, oh, but no, maybe I'll wait. Should we peek at the first one though? I could do that, right? That wouldn't really be violating. Oh, let's do it. So let's see. Ooh. Look at this. That is my first color. So the way that this project works, it's going to be a blanket, And I wouldn't have to do this. It's my yarn. I could do whatever I want with it, but I am going to do the crochet version. It is the northeasterly pattern. I think I can show you this first page because it's not going to show you anything other than what is you can get on Ravelry, but so it's this chevron pattern here. And so I will be adding my yarns in that order or in this manner to create this blanket. And I think there's 12. Yep, there's 12 clues. And then inside there is a little card with a little clue, if it were, that goes along with the mystery. And there was a card here that talked about, oh, I don't know what I did with it, but there's a card where I'm supposed to scratch off after I finish. Isn't it here? I am not sure where it is right this second, and I'm not going to waste time with you sitting here and go digging for it. But there's a card where after every time I finish a clue, I'm supposed to scratch off to reveal kind of as I go along. So, but it is in the Murder She Wrote, right? That was the series way back in the day. That was actually set here in Maine. So that's kind of fun. And I actually came with this little tape measure too. So kind of fun. So this is another type of a mystery knit along of sorts that you can do. And then of course there's advent calendars that are mysteries. So there's all kinds of fun ways to do mystery knitting, as it were, in lots of different fashions. And it's kind of fun. It's a fun way to spice up the knitting process. So that is what I have in this section, and let's go ahead and move on. Okay, day to day. I had another busy week. Welcome to the life of Michelle. So Monday night we took my niece, one of my nieces, out for her birthday date. She wanted to go to Olive Garden, so we took her there, and then we took her shopping, and that's when I got most of the knitting, the sad little amount of knitting on my sock done, was when we were at Olive Garden waiting for our food. She turned 11, so it was lots of fun to finally spend some time with her. Her birthday was actually in the middle of September, but between their lives and our lives, it's been pretty crazy to connect. So that was fun. That was a Monday. On Tuesday, I was desperate for a haircut, and I finally got in. So that was good. Got a little haircut and a little trim, and now it'll play nice for me. That was good, and was able to visit with my hairdresser a little bit. I've been going to that hairdresser for 25 plus years. Like, I was 15, I think. So yeah, it's been a very long time. Actually, that would mean it was more like 35 years. Yeah, it's been a long time. So she knows me very well. She's watched me literally grow up, have kids, get married, have kids. My kids grow up. Like, we have a lot to catch up on. So that's always fun. School was busy. It was a 4-day week though, which was kind of nice. We had Friday off. Technically it was a teacher workshop day, so the kids would not have had school in any event, but in Auburn and a lot of the districts around us, if not across the state, use this past Friday, like the Friday that leads into Indigenous Peoples Day, as a teacher workshop day. In Auburn, we actually get comped that day as a day off because there will be a day coming up in November where we have to stay until 8 o'clock at night for parent-teacher conferences. So they gave us this past Friday off in exchange. So that was really nice. I got a lot done. I did not have nearly the amount of time to spend knitting that I would have liked, but I was able to get a room kind of organized and kind of trying to set it up as a workout space with our treadmill, and we've got an exercise bike, and so I was just kind of trying to reorganize that so it'll be a little bit more functional. And then I took a break and did some knitting, and then middle of the afternoon I drove out to the fish store and I got some snails and a couple of crabs and a couple of coral to add to my fish tank, so that was fun. The other thing that happened on Fridays, we got new rocking chairs, matching rocking chairs. We've had a pair of Canadian rockers in our living room for, well, we've owned them forever. One of them was my grandmother's, and the other one was a gift that my husband bought me when I was pregnant with our oldest son, and he turned 26 in July. So and I'm sure that the one from my grandmother was probably similarly aged. So they were both tired. They were falling apart. They were getting squeaky. We've bolstered them multiple times, put them back together and screwed things in. And I was like, you know what, we're done. So we bought some new small recliners. I didn't want them to be oversized because Canadian rocker is pretty small. So those were finally delivered on Friday. My smaller of my two dogs, Molly, immediately made herself at home. I've got a picture I can pop in here. In one of them. Kind of claimed one of them. So they're nice, they're comfortable, they fit me well. I'm a small build, so that was important. So that'll be really a nice addition to our living room. And then yesterday, Saturday, we had a lobster feast with my husband's side of the family. We usually do that in the summertime. It's a little late, but we wanted to squeeze it in. And it worked out really well because my nephew, who has been in the military for, I think, 5.5 years. I know it was at least 2019, if not a little bit earlier than that. He's done 3 different tours, and his final tour just ended, and he got home on Wednesday, and so he was home now for good, and so he was there. And then my niece and her husband from Pennsylvania came up, and we were pretty much all there, actually outside of my daughter who was in New York, who wasn't able to join us, but pretty much everybody else was there. So that was a lovely, lovely afternoon with our lobsters and corn and salads and desserts, and oh my goodness, like so much food. Like by the time we left, we were all stuffed, and I think I had leftover apple crisp, and at 8 o'clock I had a small bowl of apple crisp. That was my dinner, and we were eating at like 1 o'clock. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have that problem when you get together and you have these big dinners, but yeah, it carried me most of the day. So that was yesterday. It was a gorgeous day. It was windy, very windy, but beautiful sunny day. Low 60s. It wasn't super cold. I think it felt colder because of the wind, but not super cold. Certainly not as cold as it could be for the month of October. So that pretty much sums up my week. I am hoping, again, like I said, to sit and get some more knitting on my WestKnits knit along, and then I've got tomorrow off for the holiday. So tomorrow I'm really hoping, because I was a good, studious, diligent, industrious individual on Friday, I'm hoping that tomorrow I can really take some time and get some knitting done and relax. That's my plan for tomorrow. So I thank you so very much for joining me and listening to me. You can see all of the things that I have talked about down below in the show notes. I will have links. You can find me on Ravelry or Instagram as Knittin Michelle, KNITTINMICHELLE. You could also send me an email at michellesfiberstudio@gmail.com. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button, and you could also subscribe so that you will always know when I have posted something new. With that, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and happy knitting!